We live, yeah? People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. Good evening, and I hope you're all doing well and safe. As you obviously know, it's 5:30 over here in the UK. I don't know where you guys are, but according to the time zone, I'd like to give you the appropriate greetings. I hope you're all well and safe. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Now, obviously, we're gonna in a short moment or a moment from now, we're gonna talk about Arteta, and judging by some of the comments from you guys, I can tell it's a subject that, a lot of people have a lot to say. There's a lot of viewpoints, a lot of conclusions being drawn. I do think there's a lot of lacking balance because although I feel the team is struggling, this is also a team that went on a unbeaten run not too long ago and won an FA Cup. I'm not saying they're the bee's knees and anything to write home about. I'm just saying you've got to praise and critique Arteta fairly. And I find people lack a lot of balance. And I'm actually told I'm an Arteta apologizer. I've been told I'm anti-Arteta. I mean, how can you be an Arteta apologist and also be anti-Arteta? It doesn't make sense. But anyways, I hope you're doing well and safe. Please make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Don't be rude, people. Hit the like button. It doesn't cost a thing. And like I said, in relation to Arteta, a lot of viewpoints already said. Alex said he needs to be sacked. I'm vexed. Adrian is sending shots. Big up to Adrian for also being a member. Please check out the YouTube memberships. I appreciate all of you. Adrian has said, if you think after less than a year and 1.5 trophies, he should be sacked, you're smoking. You can read. If we sack Arteta now, we'll spend the next 40 years looking back. Interesting word, BCM has said, rebuild Kroenke, keep Arteta, play the young players. Samir is saying he needs to grow a pair and drop half the team. Also along those lines, he needs to grow a pair and play Ozil. To be fair, would you not argue it shows having a pair to drop Ozil, really and truly? I know it's above board decision, but can I say that? To play devil's advocate to what some of you are saying. Omer's saying he's out of his depth. Be up, blah, is saying, I think you're forgetting he won the FA Cup literally 6 months ago. I don't think I am. Personally, I don't know if this is at me or someone in the chat, but I literally just mentioned that. But anyways, you've also said there's going to always be ups and downs when trying to achieve something. You're right in that regards. Red Gillier said he is not the cause of the prob. The cause of the prob is not enough investment and poor recruitment. If we invest in the areas we need to strengthen, I'm sure he'll turn it around. I also agree with that somewhat as well. Interesting points. And this is why I don't think there's one side of the fence you can particularly sit on in this case. If you think he's not the man, then I can't blame you, because although he's won FA Cup and things like that, it's looking very shaky. All I can say is I hope he convinces us all that he is the man to take this club forward. If you back Arteta, then you're allowed to back your man. Me personally, I back Arsenal Football Club. I want Arteta to do well because he's our manager. If the position in terms of league results and we keep playing the way we're playing and we keep getting on the season, then of course we're going to have to look at his position. Will Arsenal ever sack him? Personally, I think not. I think looking at the season, we might say it's naive. Arsenal could have foresaw this and said, do you know what? Like we hear, we're planning for summer 2021. This season is whatever. We just try and move forward, make progress, move players on, adapt to whatever tactics he wants to adapt. And then it's we take the pain this season and maybe next season there's signings and things like that. Because on one hand, I think it's extremely naive to give a first-time manager these poor tools available, but at the same time, can I consider that they're not naive and this is all a direct result of consequences or decisions being made? I'm gonna get onto it, but I find it very interesting hearing what you lot have to say. Samir's also said, let's be real, we're 15th, it's over for him. I'm sorry. The board have said the board sold him a dream. Samir also said apologies. The board sold him a dream and he bought it. Man had all the power then to get guarantees. Arteta's a smart guy, so surely he got some support. I also feel that because he rejected the job 1 year before. Did he not think he was ready? Were there some assurances offered to him this year that they couldn't guarantee less last year? I don't know. Abdullah is saying relegation incoming. Hopefully not. Thank you very much for your praise, Samir. Layla is saying deluded. We're 16th. If Brighton win, Arteta has to go. Sorry, I agree with Troops. Assume you mean troops, depending on whatever Troops has said. Anyways, moving forward, Liam has also said, yo, DG, how's it going? You very rarely get asked how you going. It's always, oh, what's the loan reports? What's this? What's that? Never, DG, are you all right? Thank you very much for asking that, Liam. I'm good, man, and I hope you and your family and everybody else that's listening to this is all well and safe. Nicholas has said, let's be honest, the job is too big for him at this stage in his career. Wayne's just saying he's checking in. Big up JPZ. He's just saying, shout out DG, shout out yourself, shout out everybody listening. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Sean is saying it's sad times indeed. It really is. It really is. Shout out DG, shout out you as well. These players have let down Wenger, Emre, and now Arteta, and that's why I feel you can't just blame one person or get at one particular side. Because I do think for what Arteta can control, in which he can't control much, he's not getting the best out of the team and also himself. And I'll get onto it. My main concerns with him and whatnot, but at the same time, as I just alluded to, the players are poor. Some of these players have been under numerous managers. Dare I say, some of these players, not to be cynical, could they be looking at it as there's no real pressure? If I've got 2-3 years on my deal, Emre never lasted 3 years. Lomberg never lasted 3 years. Okay, he was interim. If it goes another way, if we continue playing like this, I've given reasons before in this 5 minutes as to why Arteta would still stay. But if he goes, I'm still going to be here. And I think certain players hide behind that. They know that obviously, ultimately, the job lies with the manager. And I think they hide behind that. I do agree with what you said. There's been different. I do agree fundamentally, there's been different managers, different players. And one person that owns this club has been the same constant. But at the same time, I agree, there's been several different managers and the players have not fixed up. They always talk at a point, when Emre came in initially and also Arteta, they all come out and say the right things. We know everything we need to do. The analysis is on point. We're feeling better. And we get a small uptake. New manager comes in naturally and take nothing away from the FA Cup. But again, false sense of security. And lo and behold, we're here. Sean is saying he needs to stop having favourites. Big up the moderators in the chat as well. I can see you lot muting people and the rest of it. Big up everyone. Terrell said, hope you're having a good evening, DJ. I think the job is too big for him. And you're allowed to believe that. On the face of it, it is. There's nothing wrong with assuming that. He's never managed before. He's trying to move Arsenal Football Club back into the Champions League, trying to potentially win trophies. Pretty big for your first senior role. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It is a fact he's out of his depth. This doesn't mean he can thrive. This doesn't mean he won't thrive. The job is too big for him to a degree. He is out of his depth to a degree. He is going to show positive signs, like with the FA Cup, and there's some positives, and he has been showing negatives. This is why it's always about, if you're going to do this trainer coach thing, you have to surround them with experience, and you need to, when they make mistakes, nip it in quickly. Does Arteta have the right personnel around him? You look down to the bottom. We don't have the people right at the top to really do this thing. If this was Bayern Munich, fair enough, the manager is the manager, but you can see several figureheads that would nip things in the bud. We don't have that. It is a fact he's out of it. He's out. It's a job for him. He probably took it and thought, let me fail fast, because whether he succeeds at Arsenal or not, he's going to have learned a lot, and this is going to be a big experience for him. And I have to admire Arteta for taking the job. He could have taken when the role came where he's, if Pep moved on eventually, or where he'd have more money, or he could have stayed what he's doing and kept all these things. I have to admire him for taking the jump. But for me personally, I don't think he's to blame for everything. I do think there's an air of accountability, of course, people. Without a doubt, there's an air of accountability. He's been here almost a year. I don't see an evident DNA. He showed us a bit defensively. That's neither here nor there, and it's a bit wishy-washy. We've improved a tiny bit, but not to the standard we need to expect, really and truly. And you also, from an attacking sense, attacking shouldn't be our problem. I don't see any phases of play. I don't see a lot, and I should have seen building blocks. I understand and I agree. He has not got good enough players. These players have bad habits. These players don't play for themselves. So how can they play for the club or the fans, or the manager or whatever? But he set himself high standards. He knew the job he was coming into. He knew improving was going to be out of it. All I have to say is, do you feel Arteta's getting the best out of what he can? No, he's not. You look at the sum of the table for chances created, for goals scored, for all of this, and as much as I agree with it, the excuses of it's not his team, he needs to do this, he needs to do that, only goes so far. Because when you look at them, football's not won on paper, but we wouldn't say, if you was to just look at half of the front threes you could put out with some of the teams that have shot, scored, and created more than us, you wouldn't say on paper you would take their players ahead of ours or whatever. So there's something down to the players to wake up and stand up to be counted, but it's also down to the management or the tactics or the lack of. For me, what it's worth, I'm going to get into it, but I don't think it's worth sacking him right now. Right now, today, if you was asking me today, which for the record, if you ever want to clip this up on the 7th of December, I don't feel it's the logical reason to clip him. I think there could be a reason to let him go in the future. It doesn't, I'm Arsenal FC. I'm not Arteta FC. I want him to get it right, but there could be an opportunity. The 7th of December, I do not feel it's the right time to clip Arteta. Of course, as results stay like this, the question gets bigger and bigger, and eventually a trigger will have to be pulled. But fundamentally, There's no plan at this football club. You know, if a new manager comes in, what's going to happen? Cool. I want an experienced manager again. You know, if the young thing don't work out, the young, you know, a new age Arteta sort of guy, if it doesn't work out, I want someone that's been around the block. You know, we all know why these guys, these Jose's, once upon a time, these Luis Enrique's, these Carlo Ancelotti's, we all know why they're not at Arsenal. Because there's not going to be the finances to do such. There's not going to be the finances to do such. So it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, whether an experienced man comes in or we do this youngster thing again with you know, Arteta taking the role. We're going to be saying the same things. He needs to be backed in the market. He needs his own players. He needs this and that. And fundamentally, whose issue is that? That's why I kind of don't think it's going to solve anything. You get an experienced player, we'll see a manager. I'm not saying we won't do better. I'm not saying he might not be better than Arteta. We'll see an uptake in results. We'll see him put his DNA, just like we saw initially with Arteta. But at some period, we're going to find ourselves saying the same things, you know, he needs his own players. Some of these players have bad habits developed by previous managers. We're going to keep saying this cycle. So until the people above the manager are going to really back them, it's a myth. Listen, like I said, coaching is one big part of it. And to be fair, you know, Emre didn't cover himself with any glory, because don't get it twisted, Zaha is a bad boy baller. But if you don't get Zaha and you get Pepe, you should be getting more of a tune. There's no, based on what I saw from you tactically, I don't know if Zaha would have banged here under you. I think he would, because he's an Arsenal fan. He knows the league and that. But I didn't see anything. You still should be able to do something. But at the same time, you never backed him. You didn't back him. If you really wanted, you know, you looked at Emre. Not that Emre, I'm not trying to cover Emre of any glory, because he let himself down. But you never backed him. When he came, you know, he's got the pedigree of 3 Europa League titles and things. And you want to get back to the Champions League. You didn't back him fully. You didn't get Partey when he wanted him, or Nzonzi, or Zaha. Now, I'm not saying these guys would have passed. You know, Arteta, he was begging for a centre-half last January. How long did it take to get one in? Centre midfielder, he's begging for it. He keeps talking about goals and chances created. If anyone above Arteta believes they've given that manager, who again is a novice, which is a fact, all the tools available, it's not good enough. When you've got when you're not backing the manager properly and being proactive, and when you've got a bunch of underperforming players and players that are not part of the squad with a lot of bad habits, and it's just a cocktail of disaster. You don't see a clear message from the board. The manager, you know, who whips him in when he makes mistakes. He showed some good, bad, and the ugly. And the players, you know, for me personally, I blame the board first. If I had to put it in tiers, this is historically at Arsenal. I blame the board first, and those above the board, obviously the owner, because that's where the mentality comes from. I blame the players, because as someone perfectly said, when you put these players, some of these players have played under enough managers, they show no improvement, you know, and the rest of it. So I put it at the players. But then also you have to look at Arteta, the things he can control, a blueprint on a Sunday or Saturday. That's the product of what you've been working on all week. I haven't seen that. As much as I feel he hasn't been given the tools available to do the job and bring creativity and things, I'm not seeing bare minimums to suggest that's going to happen anytime soon. So again, I don't think sacking Arteta solves anything. You know, we might get a manager who plays a bit better and does things differently, but we're not going to see much. And what scares me is the people above Arteta, because they're not really footballing men. They're not really experienced. I know Edu is there, but Edu might be the footballing man, but he's inexperienced in that position. And, you know, did the inexperience count towards the naivety as to why we thought the squad we had, plus the additions of Gabriel and Partey, take nothing away from them, was simply enough to win, to do anything? I'm not too sure. So I don't think on the 7th of December it makes sense to get rid of Mikel Arteta. It's not going to solve anything. You know, a manager, let's say, cool, whatever manager you have in your head, he takes over tomorrow, what happens? You're going to say this immediately. We're all going to say, which it already is, to be fair, this season's a write-off. You know, use this time to weed out the bad ones and put your blueprint and put the early beddings in and whatnot. That's what we're going to say, aren't we? We're still going to talk about selling people. Are we still going to sign someone in January? You know, as long as the ethos, the manager, of course, matters. But as long as the ethos is there from the top, again, it shouldn't matter who's in charge. You never get the vibe that, you know, whether we criticize Emre or Arteta, that they're fully backed, that they're backed properly. I'm not talking about just talking about them, giving them the finances available. You know, but saying that, you know, a director, obviously Arteta has to use what he can use, but we were saying how he's getting a song out of all of these old players last season. Why are we now ranked low for all sorts of attacking stats, creative stats, and the rest of it? We're crossing the ball with no end goal in sight. We're just doing it for the sake of it, people. In the last live stream, I showed you the statistics and whatnot, people. You know, I'm mainly with the players, because they keep talking, they just keep chatting about it, you know. I do share some of your points. I do share some of your points. Where if he gets better players in, something can change. But it is concerning. It is concerning. The lack of movement, the lack of creativity, the lack of players consistently knowing their job is crazy. And to be fair, we as fans don't always see it. But when I see Bellerin playing like he's playing in the back three, like a wing back with all that space, clearly to a degree, it could be him being incompetent, but he could have evidently been told to do that. Now, if he's told to do that, again, it's down to him to be sensible. But at the same time, he's listening to the manager, to which, again, you can see why the fault is there, you know. What else are you guys saying? I don't trust the board either. He didn't cover himself with any glory, saying he likes the performance and things, in my opinion, but it is what it is, man. And that's it, Jamal. Everyone needs to be on the board because it's not going to change. It's not going to change. You can get Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp in. Yeah, they're going to show an uptake. They're going to show their class, but we're going to hit a glass ceiling and be saying the same things. There's been different managers. It's the same old thing, really and truly. What has Big Riv said? I'm going to keep it real, Deluded. Nothing is going to change, and I can't support this much longer. I'm making the switch to Chelsea. Yeah, you do what you got to do, bro. I don't condone that switching stuff, but, God created man with free will, so do what you need to do. Big up everyone in the chat. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. We saying see locked in. I hope you're doing well and safe. Randy said, DG, can you call out a player that left Arsenal and hasn't played well? I believe it's our coaches. There has been players that haven't played well, but it is a bit of the coaches as well. We are 15th with these lot, and that's down to his tactics. And I feel fundamentally it's down to the players for not having a weak mentality. But again, Arteta has to soldier some of the blame without a doubt. To be fair, he didn't want to sell Martinez. Martinez wanted to go, but I can't understand the Bellerin one. And Bellerin, I'm so happy you said that. Not going to say your name again because, we're trying to keep it PG and that. But you set me up rightly for what I'd like to speak about. Now, Hector Bellerin. Now, I'm not trying to lead the scapegoating on Bellerin, but this is when I say where it's the players, people, because apologies, before I get into the Bellerin, I'm seeing a lot of you. Exactly. Big up yourself and big up everybody in the chat. Please make sure you hit the like button. But again, people, the culture of the club. Now, I don't think the club sit there and players involved and people involved in this unit want to be losers. But I just think, winning isn't everything. And when I say winning, it obviously means trophies. But I want us to chase excellence. I want us to try. I don't get the vibe that as a club we're chasing excellence. We're trying to be better than we was yesterday. We're always forward thinking. We're trying to achieve greatness. Players in their own little ways. I don't see them trying to cement their own legacies, both in football and at Arsenal with all little degrees. Very few players are playing like their life depends on it and playing like they'll never get this opportunity again. And I feel for footballers, forget all the money in that, you should be wanting to leave. Every time you step out to that field, you should be thinking legacy because a career is short. All of them are going to wake up one day at 35 odd years of age and it's gone. And they're going to have great moments, bad moments. But the one thing that is the worst feeling is regret. And I feel the way a number of you Arsenal players are going, you can't help but feel, if your career is ended tomorrow, you can't help but feel anything other than regret. For the last few years, all you can feel is regret. Yeah, you can feel pride because you won FA Cups. But how many times have you been in away games? You've been smacked up at home, smacked up. Criticized across the papers. It's a consistent theme. And while I think there's witch hunts at a lot of time, can't blame you lot. You can't blame them because you're choosing to do things. Now, I do think players are striving and trying to be better. But when I look at someone like Hector Bellerin, he's made 218 appearances for this club. He's played 169 times in the Premier League. He's won 3 or so FA Cups. You should be able to take a throw in. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't make 5 foul throws. That tells me you're making a mistake. I saw him make it once and he said the way he's been doing that his whole life. Why is no one from our coaching staff was saying stop doing that? Out of 15, 16 in the league, he's made 5 of them. That's a choice. That's a choice. It doesn't make sense, people. And I'm not trying to lead the witch hunt on Bellerin. This is what I mean about complacency. You're not trying to achieve greatness. You're not trying to have a legacy because you bust through at 18. You're now 25, and I don't see any real consistent development. You're not seizing your opportunity. I talked about legacy. Bellerin is 26. We spoke about signing players, tying players down to new contracts in the last 2 years of their deals, contracted until 2023. So happens when next year happens. Does it make sense to give Bellerin a new deal? Maybe. In terms of resale value, if there is any, maybe not, and it's the beginning of the end. And I'm not questioning his commitment to Arsenal, but every year you hear rumblings that he's considering leaving, and you have heard him indirectly say that. So You know, if maybe the penny will drop if you go somewhere else, and we might be saying, "Yo, what happened here?" But there's no development. Players don't want to. I don't get the vibe that players want to be the best they can be for themselves. I get the vibe that Arteta has to keep reminding you lot what you have to do and what you could do and gassed you up, and he can take you to the water. He can't help you drink. You know, you lot should be dying to play Champions League football. You know, you should be dying to challenge for leagues. The way man are talking about Spurs and Chelsea and Liverpool and them things there, you should be killing to be spoken of that. But you don't want to. You're cheating yourselves. I'm not saying you're not mashing work. I do think you lot are trying more than we're giving you credit for, myself included, but it's not good enough. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jogbino. You said, I blame Arteta, and you've given a lineup. I'm not too sure if Guendouzi and Torreira will be featured back into the team anytime soon because they're on loan. Martinez no longer plays for the team, but I assume that's what you mean you had in an ideal world. So for me, this is why I don't like these questions. Are you Arteta in or out? I'm just Arsenal, you know. Right now, you know, Arteta hasn't shown me anything really to say like I'm leading the bandwagon for him going out. Is there concerns? Of course. Am I scared of what's going on? Of course. Have I been very critical of him? Of course. But again, you know, I'm not going to lie. I can't put my hand on it, but there's something that makes me believe in him to a slight degree, although what I'm seeing is nothing to be believing in. I do think the squad is poor and all of these sort of things. But for me, the main concerns that somebody's asked me, I've actually written them down. Learning from mistakes. Last season, he was learning from things very quickly. And the next game, he was counteracting it. He's not learning from it. You know, I get it. If they're making that switch to a back four, you know, we're having poor results, of course. But if he said to the club, okay, cool, we're switching to a back four, you know, like I just said with Bellerin and Tierney, they were very high in that game. And, you know, I don't agree with what Willian's doing or what Lacazette might be doing, excluding that game or Aubameyang. But if the manager's telling you to do these things and he's saying, listen, just keep listening to me and keep doing this, it will come right. That happens. You know, you need a blueprint. You need a DNA. If that's what you're trying to do, then I hope you come out the other side. But for me, we're not learning from mistakes. It's not really the tactics. Obviously, I can sit here and say we're not creating. All of these things are evident that we need to improve in. But it's for me putting your trust in players that are not putting the trust in you. You know, I'm not saying Xhaka is purposely going out there to play poor, but you've pulled him back in from the wild. You know, when the fans were against him, you shielded him from the rain. You made him come back in, and he was playing well. And I haven't seen that same energy he showed for you. When the heat's on you now, when man are questioning you, when I'm not going to say fans are saying Arteta out in the stadiums, but they're looking at you, putting a shift for your manager. Do I think Xhaka gets scapegoated at times? Of course, but putting a shift for your manager. Willian, he's out here kind of backing you when you're wrongly in Dubai, you know, backing you when they're always asking for this misform. Put in a performance, you know, Bellerin, put in a performance. It's crazy. And for me, I can't understand how Bellerin's our vice captain. If you're selected as the vice captain, I get that he's been here for a while, but if you're selected as the vice captain, that means for me two things, you know. You're one of the most vocal players in this dressing room, which is quite concerning, you know, because that for obvious reasons, and that you're one of the players people look up to. So if you're one of the players people look up to and they look to in tough moments, and you keep playing like that, how's it going to get any better, people, really and truly? Dialer Square, thank you very much for your $5. It means a lot. No clue why you donated that. I wish you had a question to go with that, but I appreciate that, my guy. Please stay in good spirits, and I'd like to extend the same to your family, people. See, a lot of you are saying he needs to be sacked. It's only left and right tactics. And again, you know, for me, the tactics, there's not really any sort of ideas. And I think I can get my tactics board out. Give me a second, people. I actually feel that's where I'm quite annoyed, because he talks about goals and movement and things like that. And if you're working on it on the training ground, fair play. But I don't see enough in this regards, people. Even midfield, even someone like Xhaka, yeah? You see Xhaka, people? I think he's a poor player, but I feel sorry for him. Like I feel half of these players, because there's no clue of an idea, people. If I say this is the back four, you know, let's just say this makeshift opposition is playing a high line, yeah? And this is the man in possession. And that's the front three. And let me just put some fullbacks in this team. This is what I don't see enough. Yeah. So what players got to figure this out, people? And again, the camera's going to fail me, people. Can I hold this? I'll do it like this. So we'll focus on this goal, people. This is what I don't see enough. We're red, so we're attacking this goal, yeah? Where's the movement? Let's just say this man's in possession. Let's just say this is Xhaka. As poor as Xhaka is, half the time there's no movement, people. There's nothing going on. And then you have a back four that will do that. You've got two midfielders of the other team that will sit, you know. You've got fullbacks that will tuck in like you saw against Spurs. I mean, wingers that will tuck in, you know. You might have, and a two, oh gosh, I dropped one, people. But let's just go with that. You know, they're one player down, but let's just say they get bare man behind the ball. We can't break this down. I don't see anything from a coaching perspective to learn how we can break down oppositions, you know, because we have to do it. We're playing slow, we're going backwards, and we're allowing them to hold the shape. Let's just say this man's in possession, Xhaka. There's no movement. If somebody drops deep, you know, then a man might be able to go into this space. And yeah, it looks like there's no space, but let's just say why my man switched off. You clip that over the top, he's gone. Or, you know, he's dropped deep. You know, if he move him out the way for a sec. If he drops deep, someone's got to come with him. A midfielder's got a decision to make, which means there's gaps, which means a fullback or another player might exploit this space. And then we can make different runs in different angles. There's no movement in that regards, people. There's no movement. There's no, the man in, as poor as I think some of these midfielders are, we're in a double whammy because there's an imbalance with our attacking players. Our midfielders are a mixture of not having the ability to do it, not having the brains in midfield, and being poorly coached. There's no, when I'm at, listen, how many of you have played football? When you pass the ball to the next man or woman, you're telling them what to do. That's why it's so important to set it for them. You know, if I'm a fullback and somebody plays it into the space, they're telling me they want me to advance with it. If they play it to feet, they're telling me they want me to take a bit of time with it. Set the picture. You know, there's not enough movement. You don't see, you know, one striker dropping deep and Aubameyang might be narrow and make the run, or fullbacks making the run, or a midfielder taking the chance, because there's an imbalance. The midfielders don't know what to do, and the fullback and the wingers have no movement. And same goes for the strikers. This is what I mean when I say, when you add this into it, people, and also adding that we play slow, backwards sort of passing, and we're not trying to break down teams. This is a cocktail of disaster. Now, if what I'm about to say, you imagine you've got this cocktail and we're about to put some extra Ray and nephew shots in here. We don't have street smart players who can manage out a game. So this is a poor cocktail. This is why we're freestyling games. This is why we're moving mad. And if you plan to fail, you fail to plan. It doesn't make sense. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. That's why, and that's on Arteta, you know. What are you lot saying? Liam saying, big up the tactics board. Big up the tactics board. Randy is saying, DG, I'm from St. Lucia and I'm pissed we lost. Do the players even know what it means to lose to Spurs? I think they do. I think the players are hurting. I don't assume that, but it's like, for me, it's, yeah, you had possession, but what are you doing with it? You know, I never like to blame one singular player or a pillar, because we're a squad. We're together in this. Too much content, DG. Keep up the good work, bro. I mean, you got a lot of time to get with it, man. Big up Rashid saying the camera's good. Thank you very much for that. You know, he is out of his depth, but he needs to be surrounded with some quality, you know. And I think the players are just not smart enough. And for me as well, I think as a club, and Arteta is part of this as well, we've been reactive. Arteta is reactive on the football field. You know, last year he was very proactive. I've seen like Jose Mourinho, he's making subs and altering his little lineup with his players as the game goes on. Before Arteta, I've seen Dean Smith do that, Brendan Rodgers, Nuno, Bielsa, and now the latest being Jose Mourinho. In the same way we've been reactive in the transfer market, we're reactive to signing people down to new contracts. You know, we've got a very reactive manager at the moment. You know, I do think there's been an inconsistency in the logic in decisions, because what he says about Pepe, for example, makes sense, but then Willian is dropping clangers, so he don't have the legs to stand on. He does change the lineup frequently. Again, I do like someone who tinkers and changes and stuff, but there needs to be a balance, and I don't think you can breed any real confidence within your players, whether they're new players or these existing inconsistent ones, when you keep changing things. People fail to understand the value in playing the same lineup and building relationships on the field. If we have a pattern of play and we build up relationships, we can play better. You know, it doesn't, you know, when Bellerin gets possession, people should know how he plays, and Pepe should be able to make certain runs, and Bellerin should have the quality on the pass. Again, this is a make-believe world of Bellerin having quality of the pass, as you heard. We've got to improve. And for me, it's the players as well, because they're not seizing the opportunity. You know, I'm seeing someone like Willian. I have to question your hunger. You know, your career is not getting any younger. You're not playing like you want to seize every moment. You know, Bellerin, you're 25, turning 26 before the season's done. You're trying to play for Spain and trying to prove people wrong and whatnot. You don't give me them vibes that you're trying to play better, because we're doing the same things. And admittedly, I'm not gonna lie. right now I do see more concerns than positives right now when I writ down the Arteta thing. But there's just something with me that trusts him right now. Again, you can't begrudge me for changing it. And if you don't, in the same way, this is what's wrong with football fans. If you don't back Arteta, you're allowed to do that, provided it's with logic and it's not bashing him. And if he proves you wrong in a healthy way, then it is what it is. And if you back him and you show he's not the man, is what it is. I just don't think it's the right decision on the 7th of December to sack this man from his position. I think it's going to do more harm than good. It's going to be like it was just going to be going around the houses of last season, not that we're not already there and that there's little to play for. But the wickedest thing is there's still 20 odd games in the Premier League. I know the narrative, if we look at the narrative, and I agree with it, we're playing poor, we can't buy a win, Arsenal and consistency aren't in the same sentence. We can't get top four. And I'm actually excluding top four from what I'm about to say. But the narrative can change. You put a run of form together, things can change. At the end of the day, it's where it starts in August and ends in May. How many teams have you seen in a position like this? Just the other day, Southampton were getting smacked up 7-8. How much nil was it to Leicester? Now they're doing all right. So if the manager gets his head screwed on, if the players sing from the same hymn sheet, if the people aboard pull their fingers out, things can happen. But like I said, that's all ifs, buts, and maybes. Ifs, buts, and maybes. If you was a better man, the facts are you probably do not expect any of that to happen, people. And I don't know if it's still here, but over Twitter, I think somebody, and again, you have to contextualize things and whatnot, people. I can't even find it, man. It was showing how what the table looked like this time last season, and I think it showed a lot of people in Champions League spaces, people. But I can't lie to you, I really can't find it. And the wickedest thing is, for me, is how the players have slipped. For me, this what shows me is the players are not switched on mentally. And for me to have any confidence, you've got to be switched on mentally. Because if we look at this logic, people, when we beat Manchester United at the beginning of last month, we were 1 point off top four. That's where I'm looking at the players to say, cool, boys, it's not May, but we work. We get out of this December period, the period that we're now in. Obviously, we're encroaching it, and we get something out. We focus from now to December. December we focus until early February, early Feb until March, April, and then May to April is a straight showdown. This shows me you can't have a goal in sight, because if you did think like this, when we're playing these 7:15s on a Sunday and we're the last team to play in that, and you're looking scared, you make sure you get a result. And obviously since then, we've lost to Spurs, we've lost to Wolves, we've drawn with Leeds, and we've lost to Villa. This shows me when times get tough and there's adversity, players sink. Players are sinking, and you can talk. When we're met with friction, it shows where you're supposed to stand. And everybody, when the sun's shining, everyone can look good, but the pressure is on. And I feel players are hiding. Players at Arsenal will continuously hide behind management. If there wasn't that, then you would see right backs show a bit more improvement. You would see centre mids make less mistakes. You would see more pressure on players, and you don't get that vibe. But for me, the fundamental reason is, it doesn't matter if you get a new manager or not. It's the people above. Because, okay, cool. For those that want to sack Arteta, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but you sack him today, what happens? Who do you bring in? You can bring up the name, but what happens then? We will see a bounce, but it is what it is. Let me see what you lot are saying. The truth is, Arteta has 3 games to save his career. He needs to put in a performance. If he doesn't get a performance in these games, you're going against a very well performing Southampton side. You've got Everton have been playing decent this year, bit mixed of late, and you've got Burnley. You know how it goes with Burnley. That long ball to the back post, Chris Wood in the 60th minute could be very dangerous. People, players don't have. Do you know what it is? Our players are naive, and I don't know what it is, because naivety doesn't always come from being young. You've got Xhaka, who's played for his country, played in German league and whatnot. You've got Hector Bellerin, who's played enough games now, like 25 years of age. As much as I don't mind David Luiz, he's hot and cold. You've got bare players like that. They're not street smart. I think players have to be able to work things out themselves. There's only so much a manager can tell you in-game and before. You need to work things out. Like a manager, if I'm a fullback, a manager shouldn't always have to tell me, for instance, don't get tight with the winger, he's faster than you. The one time I get tight and he spins me or breezes past me, I should go, DG, he's quick, stand off a couple of yards, or get your winger to press him and engage him first, and I'll do it. Players don't work things out enough. They're not intelligent enough. But again, that's down to Arteta as well. The blueprint. I don't see players when I see things like the players not wanting the ball, players hiding, players playing the easy pass when we're trying to chase a game. That's down to the mental aspects, and that's psychological. But the damn right day-to-day, game-to-game DNA or lack of it is on Arteta, because you have to start assuming at a point that, yeah, he needs time. Yeah, he needs his own players. But at what point does it stop becoming he's using what he has and it's woe is me? And this is the direct consequence. This is the blueprint. I have to start assuming it. Because like I said, Donny's been here one year or almost. And as much as I'm fond of Arteta, what is a single aspect about him? Like, I can't say, boy, we're playing good football. He's made us defend mad, man management smart on, bare young players. There's not one single facet. There's some reason I believe in the man. I don't know what it is. I think he talks with conviction. And it's for me, I'm a man of adversity, innit? I think about adversity a lot. I think about when the world is, like I said, these men are meant to be siege mentality. The world, I always say, you need confidence, consistency, and competence. You need confidence when the world is saying that you're not good. And for me, I don't think Arsenal can get top four. I don't think they're good enough. But that whole collective in Arteta and the rest of them, they should believe they can. They should be fully believing they can. And I don't think they are. You need to collectively move. And when I hear the way Arteta speaks and he says the whole team needs to move like this, and I need all the backing, we all needs to sing from the same hymn sheet, I don't think he's wrong, because when you're trying to change, whether it's you as a person or a team, and you're met with adversity, you need to keep going. If we're struggling now, so that if you're struggling now, does this mean that there's light at the end of the tunnel? As much as I don't agree with what I'm seeing on the football field, if he genuinely believes this is the way to move forward and his players are buying into it, and it's a thing where, okay, boys, what I'm telling you to do, we're doing it, but we're just not getting the results, and hopefully it will come, then I don't agree with a damn word of that, but I can understand it. I can get around it. So yeah, and probably that, man. He seems confident and logical. And last season, it's a lot of, for me, he was mainly, that's the main thing. I'm so harsh on Arteta, because he set some good standards from him. Forget the FA Cup and stuff. I don't really have examples, but it felt like at times he's trying things. He's saying, no, you know what, next game, I'm not trying that. It's not the thing. Or like he found things out. He's like, you know what, Ozil, when I can use you for 60 minutes. Certain games you're not, or you done well here, I'm not using you, or this is your role, or whatever. He was, like I said, he was answering more questions. He was providing answers and less questions. Now it's the lesson. It's the lesson now this season for me. There's equally as much questions. So I don't think you become a bad manager overnight. He's shown some good, he's shown some bad, but to a degree, what did we expect with a novice manager? Again, there's nothing wrong with saying Arteta is a novice. He's a newbie. He's out of his depth. These are all true things. We'd all be out of our depths. If you're fresh out of university as a I don't know, as something, and they throw you into one of these sort of to make an executive decision where the whole company is going to live or die by it, you're going to be out of your depth. But, fail fast. That's one thing. I wanted Arteta to fail fast and learn fast if it's going to be that. And I don't think it's that, and that's it, Tank. People are making excuses for underperforming players. Players are just not performing because they're not. Like I said, if I'm playing for Arsenal or any of these top 6 teams, I don't need my manager to tell me why we want to win. I want to win anyways. And I want to play Champions League. I want to get top 4. I want to leave my own little legacy. It just feels like Arteta has to remind these guys too much. And if he has to keep reminding, you don't want it. Aubameyang hasn't smiled. He just seems broken, in my opinion. Floren, big up yourself for the super chat. I really appreciate it. You said, I think we should keep him and let him learn through trials and hardship. We won't get relegated this season. Look at Man U. They kept Oli and now they're up 5 games in a row. Don't think United fans would like to use Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the right thingy, but it makes sense. You never know what can happen. But for me, it's about backing him, because it doesn't matter. If we get Arteta, listen, I'm not going to cry. If Arteta goes today, I'm not going to cry, people. I'm not going to cry. I'm not gonna cry, I'm not got any allegiances. Like it weren't like Thierry Henry managing this club where he might not be good enough, but it's Thierry Henry. I'm not gonna cry. If you say, boy, we're getting, let's just say Carlo Ancelotti's coming in tomorrow. Cool, I'm with that. But when I break it down and I'm like, oh, yo, is he gonna be giving cash? He's gonna be all doing the same things. So it's not really making much sense, in my humble opinion. Unless if there's no plan, there's no point just sacking, man. Arteta can't turn this because the players are against him. I just think the players are just not good enough. And, when you've got players that aren't good enough and you're retaining faith in players that aren't good enough, it's a recipe for a disaster. Big up Antonio for becoming a member. Please check out the YouTube memberships, people. Please check out the YouTube membership. Sorry, my tea's going to get cold. I got back this quick. So yeah, people, I think I'm not gonna lie. I think Arteta is on thin ice, but he shouldn't be sacked today. Of course, like my man said, next 3 games it can get gazy for you, because I think, if we were seeing, what I would say is, for me anyways, if we were still losing like this, not that I'd be happy, but if I could see a DNA, I could see, we're making the same mistakes. Let's highlight Bellerin. Realistically, if it's not Bellerin this week, it's Xhaka or somebody else. All the players take their turns to make these mistakes, right? But let's just say, boom, we was playing well. We're seeing the blueprint. It's as easy as saying, you get him, bring this man a centre midfielder or two, he can do things. I'm not saying fans would be happy with these results, but you can say, cool, yeah, Arteta's doing the most he can. He needs to be supported. He's not. It's not a that thing, and that's why it's frustrating. You're not seeing any sort of fans are just dying for some sort of belief or some sort of thing to get behind. Carl, we're looking. Every team we play is looking like a football team. We don't look like a football team. We don't look like a collective unit with a collective ethos and a goal inside. That's what frustrates me the most. We don't look like a unit. There's no blueprint. Big up yourself as well, DS. I'm really, you lot are making some great points, people. I really appreciate it. I'm seeing a lot of good points. Big up Talawar TV, tongue twisted there. My people, then whatever you said, Arsenal are deep in comfort culture. Bellerin carries himself as if he's undroppable. And to be fair, I agree, but he probably is. You got 3 right backs. We always hear about Cedric's strengths. We hear about Maitland-Niles, this and that with every Europa League, but they're not playing. Bellerin has had that free run at that right back spot for time. How many times have we been talking about? Are we talking about where we're saying, can we get another right back in terms of depth? Bellerin's had a free run at that spot and he's not done any better. He's not improved. There's not been any friction. I don't think any managers implored him. It seemed to be cool with Emre. Arteta seems to have taken a shine to him and he's playing favourites. Wenger was a disciple of Arsene Wenger. He's just not kicked on. We're hearing Bellerin in the papers for more things than just playing good. When last did you see a paper saying Bellerin played 10 out of 10? But you see all the other things. I don't mind that he talks about all these other causes, and has all these other interests. But I don't get the vibe that football is the first and then it's the rest of it. And you know me. I don't care how much a player gets earned. They can do things away from the football field. But it just feels like football is just something he has to do to earn a living, and the rest of it are genuine passions. And when you consider stuff like, we're always hearing Bellerin wants to be subbed and, wants to leave and things. Is his hunger still there? Another point as well. Side note as well, what I meant to make as well in relation to Arteta, I don't think he makes subs quick enough. I really don't think he makes subs quick enough. And it goes back to what I was saying about when we've played the Bielsas and these experienced managers, he's been undone. But you've also said if Ozil was dropped for footballing reasons, how comes the PL experienced Willian and other dead would keep their spots? And for me, it's simply playing favourites, and that's where it's 2 things. It's either playing favourites or, because we're fans, we don't see this. Just say I'm Arteta and you're Willian and you play crap today. And let's just say, someone else watched you and you play crap, but I'm your manager. I'm telling you played well. I'm saying everything I asked you to do, you did it. That's why you're playing week in, week out. Now, to the next man or woman, they don't know that. But that's where, he might be playing. And that's where I have to look at Arteta, because now you're facilitating the nonsense, really. You're allowing these players. It's like it's getting to that point. That's where it's getting to. And I agree, see, you can't put everything on Arteta. When I'm watching these players do the basics, and they even struggle to do the bare minimum. They don't want it enough. These players, they don't fancy it. I don't think these players would ever last a day in Sunday league. They ain't going to wake up at 8 p.m. when it's freezing and want to play. They're not on this. I'm loving all the interactions. Please make sure you're hitting the like buttons, people. Do not be lazy in that regards. Florin, again, thank you very much for your super chat. Also, would love to see Saliba on the pitch, but the kid lost his parents and might not be in a right state of mind at the moment. Now, I don't know everything in relation to that, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, when I see how we played against Spurs, and it weren't doom and gloom, like we weren't getting smashed up and stuff. It was just frustrating, simple mistakes that, we made and things you knew was going into it. Saliba would learn from a game like that. Maitland-Niles would put in more of a performance. Nelson would. And to be fair, when I call for these guys, it don't mean that they have to be there forever. If they get opportunities and don't take them, come out the team. But I'm not seeing players. For me, when you have a football team, you're meant to have 25 players giving you a headache. It shouldn't be easy for Arteta on a Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, whenever, to name his lineup. Everyone should be getting head up. You should be saying, Willian, this and that, but Nelson, but Saka, but Pepe. I'm going to go with Nelson and Saka and Pepe, but where do I play Aubameyang? Okay, cool. Aubameyang will go through the middle. All right, no, Aubameyang's not going to play. Lacazette's there. They should all be given headaches. Do I go to a back three because I need to play this guy and that guy? And I don't mind Cedric playing either. These players got to want to get headaches. I don't think these players grab shirts and seize it. I don't think they feel any pressure. And the pressure comes from above. It comes from Kroenke pressuring the transfer man and the executives and all of these things to get the best players and be proactive. Then that trickles down to Arteta. As much as I feel Arteta's needs time and things, I do think there's an air of comfortability. I think he's got a sense of urgency because there's a monkey on his back and there's question marks, and ultimately he is the fall guy. But at the same time, we know he's going to be given time. That's the language we hear. He's going to be afforded time. It's this, that, and the third. We hear all of that, So again, maybe if there was a bit more pressure in that, we're going to give you time. We're not going to thingy, but you need to fix up. If there was a bit more ears, like if we had a poor result and you just see Kroenke walk into the dressing room, players are going to fix up. It's a social thing here. You don't see, when I look around this club, I don't see anyone that reflects the values of Arsenal beyond it. I'm not saying we should bring back legends for the sake of it. And we're not Bayern Munich. But when you look at Bayern Munich, you've got smart executives in whatever position, but they're also Bayern Munich players, or they know what it means. When I look at Arsenal, who is there for Saka to look at? If Saka was ever messing about at Arsenal, who is there to clip him around his ears, or he could look at and say, that's someone, credit to us. Saka is actually, doing his thing, but there's no one. When you hear how Guendouzi's acted up and you see certain other things, what could we have done with that? And that could be a coach, that could be bringing back legends, that could be something. You need to be consistently reminded. We don't chase greatness. Greatness comes from how you conduct yourself, from how you wake up in the morning. You should be chasing excellence. I don't get that. These guys are just happy to be professional footballers. I would be too. But with that, go and play for someone else, because we're trying to get back to where we was getting at. And I want to see building blocks into that. We're not going to do that. Cedric or Maitland-Niles, take their chances. Big up Dialer Square again. You said organizations take on the mentality of those at the top. Any wonder that we have complacency across the board? And this is what I'm saying, Dialer Square. You've hit the nail on the head. Love for that fiver as well. You've hit the nail on the head. It comes from the top bottom. Why do you think Chelsea never lie down too long when they're having bad seasons? Because Roman ain't on that, Kroenke doesn't care. He does these little PR things where he says, I've actually been to the games 14 times this season last season instead of what you lot think. We hear he cares. We hear how he's giving the money and whatnot, because it's a poison chalice. I do, as much as I think Edu and these lot are not proactive and haven't made mistakes, and have made a lot of mistakes. You're hearing language like they're having to go and beg for peas to sign Thomas Partey and do presentations. Now, you have to justify the money being spent, of course, but evidently you haven't replaced this sort of role since Vieira. The man, 45 million should be saying, go do this. So when you're getting that, and at best, Kroenke is sending his minions, and then you've got all of these managers, all these men and women just left to their own devices, all seeing football in different ways. Edu potentially on a power trip as well. Less individuals all going through him, and we're not scouting right. And for us, what doesn't help us, it comes down to Kroenke. It's like you should be setting your organization. You've done this Ivan Gazidis thing, you've done this Michelin Tap thing, you're doing the Raul Sanye thing, you're now having the Edu and Arteta novices in the role. Have you surrounded them with experience? Have you given them, as much as I feel Edu and Vinay need to pull it out, the man at the top is not trying to bust them to peas. What can you do? And I think we've shot ourselves because our scouting is not elite. That's the one thing that can save us. Get signings done early. Be proactive in that regard. It's not going to change. It's not. Big up everybody in the chat. It means a lot, people. I'm seeing all of that. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. We've got another super chat. I appreciate them all. Sup, DG. Greetings from New Jersey, USA. I think we might go down. These guys don't care. We need to get Kroenke out to save our club. How do we get him out, bro? Because how? No one can get to him. I agree with you. And big up all the Americans tuned in as well. It means a lot. I don't think we're going down, but it's a woeful season. And I think we need to, there's still a lot of points to be played for. This is why I say mentality is everything. The only reason I don't have faith in Arsenal is because we can't show consistency. I'm not even talking about top four. Consistency to get back on stage. Narratives change very quickly in football, People are speaking about Spurs winning the league today, and that might be true. They might go on and do that. I hope that's wrong. But a couple of results, what happens? We know people rush to draw conclusions. It's what you make of yours. Life is what you make it. Where we need to do now is what I've been saying for the last 2 weeks. We need to look at ourselves. We need to, think about what we're saying, have some real accountability, look in the mirror and take the season for what it is. We can't go back in time. We are, pardon my language, fucked up now against Villa, against Wolves, against Spurs, and all of them. We've messed up. They're L's. But it's where you go from this. Do you want to keep whining like bitches? Do you want to keep feeling sorry for yourselves? Do you what? Or do you want to move forward? And it starts from training, and there's no hiding place. First and foremost, take accountability for your own performances. Second of all, do the bare maximum when nobody's looking. Because when the cameras are on, sometimes you man do your thing, but you need to do it when the cameras are off. And everything you do in the darkness comes to light. Everything. Even the things Arteta's probably making you do that you don't do it. You don't want to do it. Do it, because that's what champions do. Nothing comes easy. When you're mixed with friction, it's how you respond, and that's what I can't take. As I said, we don't have any divine right to win anything, but what we should do is apply our maximum every game. I want to see players leave it on the ring, because if I'm a right back or wherever, I want to play next game, because I don't want to be this bench player. I'm here to be a main man. I want to play. I want to achieve greatness, and you don't get that. Do any of these players feel any pressure on their spot, on their places? It's crazy. And it's all a facade right now at this club. Thank you very much for the super chat, J. Cole. Big up yourself. Big up my guy. Check out the Beautiful Game podcast. It means a lot that you guys are checking in as well. It means a lot. Miles is saying we ain't winning the league. You might not win the league as a Spurs fan. I hope you don't, and they should laugh at you. But that's what you should be chasing. Don't be deluded, coin the phrase, but chase the greatness. This is what I'm saying, because this is not to use Spurs as an example, but this is what I'm talking about. I can see Jose can tell the Spurs players one thing, but going into the season because your season didn't start off great, so you've all said to yourself, let's stop messing about now. But at some point, then players have said, going into these last 3 games in particular, this can make or break our season, lads. I'm not being funny, but we've got Chelsea and Arsenal. Let's F them up. We've got City. They're overrated, and we know how to play City. They've applied consistency, 4 fantastic points off City and Chelsea, and then icing on top of the cake against us. That's people that, when I look at Spurs, that not a lot of Jose's put his blueprint on you, man, and you've got individuals that want to stand up to be counted. Listen, I'll laugh and joke until the cows come home about Harry Kane not winning the title, but him and Son aren't getting any younger. The likes of Højbjerg, he didn't get to make it at Bayern Munich, so you're not going to get no league titles and things, etc. since you've left them. Can you get it with Spurs? Sissoko, you ain't got too long, and you're trying to play for France. Players want to seize the future. At Arsenal, do you make the days count? Do you count the days or make the days count? We're not making them count. We're just accepting our fate. And that's for me also reflected in whenever we go 1-0 down. When we don't reply to setbacks good enough. We don't react. It's not good enough, man. It's not. And it's these things. You can't cheat yourselves. As much as I think Arteta's got a lot to answer for, the board have a lot to answer for, and we need better players. It's got to be there upstairs. Like you said, Lion Boy, they're showing more leadership than Bear. Man, Tierney's been here 2 secs. We're talking about him being captain. With all due respect, he's been at a big club like Celtic. I'm not belittling that, He is a captain for me in the future. But at the same time, we should have a tough time picking a captain. We shouldn't be... we shouldn't be saying it's Tierney straight away. You're looking around, who else should be it? I'm not that saying I want to strip a Bamian, but this is it. When you've got people like Tierney and people like Saka, young and old, well, Tierney older, that want to stand up to be counted, it's fine. But then you've got passengers, because I see it. Saka, Tierney, the same Gabriel, players hide behind them. Players don't stand up to be counted. And it's crazy. And this is why I said confidence is the most important thing, because the world is against Arsenal. The world is telling you can't get top 4. You lot and your manager and everyone connected, you lot should be on a siege mentality thing. But for what it's worth, the main part of this video, for those of you that are just tuning in, I don't believe on the 7th of December, Arteta should be sacked. We can review his positioning and whatnot in the future, but it is what it is. And I can't begrudge you lot if you're saying Arteta out. We're all allowed our own opinions. Big up myself, big up my guy, Ethan. Nice to see you as on the score sheet for your Sunday league team. And you said, my guy, Arteta dug his own grave, bro. The team don't help him. I understand, but his choices, Ozil, Guendouzi, Saliba, we have an identity, but now we have nothing. It's only going to get worse, bro. And this is what I'm saying. I can't disagree with you, and that's why I rock with you, my guy, because you've just said it there. You've said although there's other factors, Arteta has dug his own grave, and that's what I mean by the things he can control. He helped himself, because he ain't. If we haven't. All you should do is provide better clarity to the fans in their situations with Saliba. The Guendouzi one. I've wanted him to stay, but again, if he's giving you a headache, and as you're seeing yourself, the Arsenal job is a stressors. I don't want to be dealing with the stress of Arsenal and Guendouzi's nonsense. So I understand if it was like Wenger and Szczesny, where if it's gone beyond football, that's the last straw. I'm not really trying to have you in my squad. I get it, but it don't really make sense when you're seeing Willian and you're seeing things like me. I feel Guendouzi could have been a good player for us if he just found a bit of balance, but what you said is fantastic, man. Big up C, big up all the members, big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you hit the like button. Bro, to be fair, Patrick Vieira lost his job. He might as well come into the coaching staff and whatnot, man. How much could that help you? Because I'm seeing Ledley King. You know, we can people banter Ledley King. He's one of the best centre halves to ever play Premier League football. I'm seeing him, you know, shouting and all them things with Jose Mourinho. I look at our team. I'm not seeing us. As I said in the last stream, I'm seeing guys with earpods and all these things. One earpod. What are you listening to? Like, it's not serious, man. I'm seeing Arteta shout, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do, man. There's only so much you can do. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. To be fair, there's been times I agree, but there's also been times when they haven't, you know. Bro, who knows, man? I'd have to sit down and really think about it. But really and truly, for me, it doesn't matter what manager we get. It's not going to matter what manager we grab because they're not going to be backed, young or old, you know, English or not. Like a lot of people are talking about Eddie Howe. And I'm not saying I want him. I'm not saying I don't. But, you know, he's got a lot of shortcomings. Is he going to be saved from himself? Even when you look at, you know, his big money signing was Jordan Ibe, you know. If he gets that in equivalent terms, what's going to happen there? Is he going to be backed all the way? I don't know. You know, the difficult thing with bringing Vieira back to the club is, true say, once you've become a manager, sometimes you don't always want to go back. I know you've seen Sammy Lee. I know you've seen Sammy Lee do it. Stuart Pearce has done it, and things like that. But Vieira might not want to. But if he wants to chill off for a bit, maybe there's too much buzz around his name. And when you've left a job like a professional, life in a professional manager's job is difficult anyways. And the situation he was at Nice, it is exhausting. You know, it is crazy. It is crazy exhausting. So he might want to just rest up mentally and whatnot. But I think, yeah, man, just to have someone, listen, you need to be able to talk sense, because there's no point just being a legend or being a great man, former great player of a team, you know, because sooner or later, that's all going to wear off and they're going to ask you, are you a dud or not? Like, with all due respect to Thierry Henry, you know, he's not banging as a manager because of his tactics and how he's doing things, but probably there's something to be said in how he's communicating. I'm sure when they officially come in, there's the charm, there's Thierry Henry, it's this, that, and the other, but sooner or later that wears off. So that might have been why he struggled. So, you know, if Vieira's going to come in, he needs to do something. He needs to have a specific role and actually excel at it. We can't just look at the man, what Vieira was on the field. We need to look at the player. But I would definitely entertain it, just because immediately you see, well, it is saying that we had Ljungberg. I get it. Ljungberg is not Vieira and not Thierry and whatnot. But, you know, how stressed could he have been? And I don't think, you know, even Ljungberg's little stage as manager, he wasn't backed. He was begging for backroom staff and support. So what does that tell you about those above these lot for whatever we say about them people? What does this tell you? We'll have to see, man. Big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. And that's it, man. I agree, Shane. Right now, I'm not really saying him out, but the situation is one of them where I'm not like, if he worked for me, I'm not gonna sack him. But come into my office, let's have a little chat, little performance review, you know, and we'll have a little chat in 2 weeks or something and see what's happening. You know, you should join AFTV. Well, I think my last when was our last Sunday? Yesterday, the fan cam. So I'm out there. Go and check that interview if you haven't. Big up yourselves. You lot are saying some interesting stuff. You lot are going crazy, man. My moderators, I see you blocked someone, so thank you very much. But make sure you're keeping an eye out. I don't want to miss any super chats or miss anything. I don't know these duns. I don't know. When I do my research and I do the videos for you lot and I do my little Google search and do them things, they look smart and that, but I don't know these duns, my brother. I really don't know them at all, man. What have you said? You've said it's a tough decision. On one hand, Arteta makes questionable decisions, but the players don't seem to care. Granted, Arteta choose the team, but our bench is weak and we have too many passengers. To be fair, I've not been happy about Arteta's choice for the bench. And you know, Nelson's been playing well. Why is he the 19th man in the squad? It's not making sense. But I agree, the players don't apply the consistent effort, you know. But ultimately, he's got to live or die by the manager, really and truly. But I agree, man, and that's a fantastic point, and that's where I'm at, really and truly. Trap of the Year said, "Yo, DG, I don't get why everyone is on the players' back. The players on the Tottenham team are the same players that got Poch sacked." To a degree, and yeah, you could say that's down to the manager. You know, it's funny. That's a good point. You could say that's down to the manager coming into the job and whatnot. It could make a lot of sense. But what is that? Could you also say them players? The penny dropped for them under a new manager. The penny dropped for them. Because these players got Emre sacked, but Jose's coming. I mean, Wenger's coming to the role, and I mean, man said Wenger. Arteta's coming, and they've claimed an FA Cup. So again, I think it's on the players. This is why I said you can't just sit here and just blast the players, or blast Arteta. It's not making sense. Ultimately the players are the ones playing. I know you've played football, my guy. I know you've played football. We've all got managers who tell us what to do and things, but real football fans know, real football man understand, like the players on the field, tactics and whatnot, but you've got this upstairs. You've got to show the bottle, and I think it's the tactics, but I think it's the players' mentality. They don't try and stand up to be counted. Because think about it, tactics is like boxing. Boxers have tactics. You don't think they spend all week and whatnot speaking about, jab him, stay on the inside, this and that, till they start it gets banged in his face, then he has to flip the script. I don't think our manager is proactive in that regards, and I don't think our players are. And our players, when the teams is 2 banks of 4, no one's trying to break them down. It's typically Luiz and Gabriel trying to play mad passes, or Saka or Tierney, players are hiding. It makes no sense. And this is it, a manager, players need to, and that's a good point, man. You said a manager's change will not help. There are a few names who need to be offloaded from the team sheet before this club plays better. But Arteta has dug a hole for himself. And again, similar to the last comment, you've considered all 3 variables there. And for me, fundamentally, it's the fact that unless the board came out and said, listen, we're going to do what we need to do in the transfer market to give this new manager the best possible chance he can, then fair play. But it's going to be the same old stuff. Thank you very much for that, my guy. I could listen to you all day. Your charm and intellect is, I suppose the imagery means spot on. So thank you very much. And I know you're a Brit down there in America. Hope you're all well and safe. And the rest can be said for your family. What else are you guys saying? I mean, the players, I can't lie. They should, again, it's easy to talk of someone else's money, but surely the players should be donating the match day fees to charity based on how they've played at the Emirates, because he ain't been putting work. Give that to charity causes, at least getting the fans good books for some reason. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Hit the sponsors. That's how you get the message across. Probably. But think about it. Fans are going to keep going to the Emirates. Fans are going to keep buying stuff. I got the new shirt, unfortunately. It's the hope that kills you, man. Do you feel Arsenal brought players to satisfy fans in the past rather than fill the missing pieces to the jigsaw? I think our signings have been reactionary and there's not really been much thought. I don't think it's been solving pieces to the jigsaw, because how many years have we signed a centre-half, with the exception of Gabriel and Saliba, who ain't played? But how many times we signed a centre-half, we're still talking about signing a centre-half? It's crazy. For me, Arteta gets to the, until something mad happens, if we keep wobbling like this, then again, you got to start looking at the manager. But I could agree. But again, my position is subject to change based on what I have seen. To be fair, he got the captaincy way before that. Saka does look tired. I do agree. I wouldn't say he's killing him, but yeah, I do think we are relying on the young Bukayo Saka way too much. Way too much. He should be rotated and he should be allowed to make mistakes and things. And I think it's testament to Bukayo Saka's rise, but also testament to how poorly coached we are and where we're going as a club. I'd rather Allegri because he's a winner, but for Allegri, he's going to come here and not being backed up. Why would you want to risk your CV or take your managerial career? For us, for Pochettino, after going what you went through with Spurs, why would you want to come into the same situation? In fact, less, because Spurs are backing their manager. Don't think they will abandon ship. Somehow they'll still make a change. To be fair, from what I hear, Mertesacker's influence at the club is very good, especially with the young players. I won't expand anymore. I'll leave that for the rest, but it is what it is. Mad respect, DG. Always look forward to the link up with Matisse, I think you're talking about, and Rants. Great collab. Big up them. We should be back on Thursday. Big up the 400 odd people in the chat. Please make sure you hit the like button, people. It doesn't cost a thing. There's a super chat there. Moderators, help me out, man. Help me out. I found it anyways. Is Arteta the one you want to lead the rebuild? Are you sure? I think we need a proven man to do it. I wouldn't. Listen, I like Arteta, but at the same time, there's concerns. And it's for me, again, it doesn't matter. For me, again, like I said previously, if there's not backing from those above and we're moving coordinated, then no, because I do think Arteta in his way has a clear way of how he wants to play, and he's crippled by these players. I'm not giving him any excuses. Throughout this whole hour or so, we've been speaking about such, but that's just what I believe. If he was backed, it might be different. And to be fair, you know, again, people had these concerns about him when he came, but off the back of the FA Cup and the Community Shield, people weren't saying the rebuild and things, you know, whatever way you want to shape it, you want to say it's luck or whatever. He claimed an FA Cup very quickly, and there were some tough games, and the way Arsenal were mentally were fragile. Whatever reason, he managed to do that. So if he's backed, if he learns from his mistakes, ifs and buts don't win anything, and I hate saying it because I deal with the facts, but if he patterns up and learns from his mistakes and the players sing from the same hymn sheet, I think he does. But for me, it's about those above him. It's about the collective. You know, we're talking about, I can sit here until I'm blue in the face and talk about Arteta and things, and you could as well, as we're doing. But realistically, my guy, they're just pawns. If it's not Arteta, it's the next man, or it's Wenger, or it's Emre, or it's Ljungberg, or it's whoever. You know, it's about the people at the top. And is this thing going to change? I don't know how it does. I don't know if it will, but it is what it is in that regards, people. It really is, you know. We need special players. I think at this point, my guy, we just need competent and consistent players. If you're a defender, can you defend? And can you defend twice in a week, 3 times in 10 days, you know? Because some players play worldies and then play shockers. It's crazy. Big up King Gooner, you know, 400 people locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. It does not cost a thing. How many likes are we on? About 200 odd. So we've got some cheapskates and freeloaders. Exactly. Hey, Bellerin, to be fair, you know, I would love to interview him, to be fair, but he must not like me. He must just think I'm anti and whatnot. To be fair, I wouldn't blame Bellerin if he didn't want to chat to no Arsenal fans right about now. To be fair, was he? When you look at it, was he? Because I think Emery should have won in his first year, to be fair with you. But it is what it is. Big up everyone in the live chat, man. I don't even think that. These lot are shook, man. These lot are shook, man. Bro, Arsenal, you know, is money even the thing? Because, yeah, we don't have money to go toe-to-toe, but buying competently, bro. How many shrewd additions have we seen? Yeah, for every Gabriel you sign, you miss out on numerous, but money doesn't guarantee it. I'm not trying to open up Pepe for skepticism, but, you know, we spent a huge outlay and we haven't seen anything. Xhaka, we're still talking about what he is. We spent 30 odd mil. We all know how the Mustafi thing went. We all know how Lucas Perez went. You know, Lacazette's been a decent player for us, but we bought him here to potentially be doing what Aubameyang's been doing historically at this club, and what you're seeing the top strikers in the league coming in doing. So has that been spent? Kolasinac on a free transfer, okay, cool, but he probably got a huge signing on fee and he's on 100k a week. So again, it comes down to recruitment. Then you've also got to look at Cedric Suarez and Pablo Mari. Now, I think Mari's being dealt a unfair card by me there, but I think this shows you how many players have I said, if you was to add up all the fees and loan fees and whatnot, what have you got from these players? You know, we don't spend competently. Dennis Suarez, not competently. When there's players there to move for, we don't do it. You know, and the ones that come through our academy that could help us and blossom, like Benassia and Gnabry, they're gone. You know, I don't buy what these players do. In fact, you know how fans cry about every young player, but Gnabry, my first ever video, is still up there, is why, you know, I started YouTube. I was vexed Gnabry went. I was peed off Benassia went. You know, I know a lot of people cry. People have been talking about Amici and Vontae Daly Campbell and a lot of players that leave. People cry about a lot. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, you know, when you let players of that caliber go. Josh De Silva at Brentford, like players that can go on to be first teamers and make money, man. Big up yourself, Andy Smith. It means a lot. Big up everybody locked in, man. I don't think we're harsh on Bellerin. And to be fair with you, football is harsh. And, you know, football is harsh. If you had Bellerin from 18 years of age, my guy, at 25, and there's no evident evident development, you'd be as well. You know, he doesn't look at much better. In the past 5 years, you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, well, not in the 5 years, but, you know, Bellerin was on the scene before Wan-Bissaka, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the rest of the Lamperty and the rest of them. You know, he's not even up there in the conversation. For me, I'm harsh on him because he's not developed for himself. Maybe because I am a fullback and he just looks frail. I know he's had injuries. I do think fans are harsh on him when he's had good games. Like, he was good at United away. He was good at Sheffield away from home. I think he's got 3 assists this season. So it tells you how poor we are in terms of creativity. But he's doing something in terms of being a fullback. And Arteta was very critical on that aspect of his game. Fair play. But he's too too hot and cold. It's a, not to even, there's one of these at every club. You get like, I'm tired of speaking about it. I don't want to do Martial dirty because I think Martial's good, but he's 25 and he's still talking about, is he a striker or a winger? Now the penny can drop, but the penny has to drop for Bellerin. I like Bellerin. But I would have sold him a long time ago for some of these prices we allegedly heard. But for me, I was going to give him one season, one proper season under Arteta. Let's see what you're on consistently. And, the thing is, it doesn't have to end this way, but it can get better. Joe Willock, for me, I probably would have loaned him out. I think he needs to go somewhere where he could have potentially got 20, 30 games on the spin, evidently developed. But, he's got opportunities this year and he's done all right, man. Well, I'm not going to say he should. Probably for himself, he should have went Chelsea because they are in the league. But as an Arsenal fan, why would I want that? I didn't say we need Højbjerg, but we just need competent players. Shout out to Højbjerg because I was telling man, he's a good signing for Spurs. This the thing with them signings there. In fact, people like name brand too much. Of course, Højbjerg's not going to make the difference. He's not going to win stuff, but he does the dirty arts. He's competent. He's consistent. I told people that's a better signing than man give him credit for. Everyone can see he's a world beater now. Not world beater, but everyone can praise him and that now. This is what I mean by name brand. You need players that are competent and consistent. And obviously, Spurs fans probably want more glamorous players eventually, but you get the point. Pennies, one of the signings of the season, him and Gabriel for both teams signed for pennies. Wayne has said, yo, DG, man, listen to drill. Who do you rate out of the UK? You rate any US, man? I listen to a lot of drill. I mean, obviously, you had to come up off the GBE and whatnot, the Chief Keefs. I don't really listen to that BDK stuff, but, King Von, Little Dirk, Number 9. Anyone, all of them sort of guys, all the what's my man from America, from New York as well, man? Steph G, all them typical people there. From the UK, same as anything. I like Digger. I think Unknown T is hard. I think what's his name? Heady. K-Trap when he jumps on the drill beat. All them 6'7" ones. Yeah, man. Now you're putting me on the spot, so it's hard. But if I went through my M24, if I went through it, probably, I listened to drill quite a lot. Like ridiculously too much, to be fair. But I welcome all those random questions. Man said we need Xhaka. We have Xhaka. We don't need anybody else. For that, you're getting blocked because you're on a banter thing. Right. You're enemy of progress. You're moving mad. We've got Xhaka the GOAT. You lot are moving bad. Because there's no patterns to our play that comes from design. I don't think he's lost the dressing room yet. I think whatever Arteta and the players are doing, I think they're doing a good job. I think they're trying to move forward in that. But yeah, I don't think he's lost them yet. But things can change very quickly in football. M24, an Arsenal fan. He wasn't trying to talk too much on the AFTV interview, so I'm never going to shout him. But I would love to interview him, man. Shout M24. Don't understand it. We heard Arteta's big and talking about training and things. Maybe he's not excelling in training, to which I would say, which one of these are training good on a match day? Well, no. Miles, come on, pattern up, man. Bellerin was a right winger. If he moved on, he moved on. He went to a right back. If he wasn't a right back, he wouldn't be playing Premier League football. It's a myth for them dons there, man. Plenty of players to get rid of, man. Plenty of players. And even that's the main point, bro. 5 foul throws. That tells you everything. I'm sorry, 25 years of age, 5 foul throws. Like I said, you've won 3 FA Cups or so at the Emirates. You've played 169 times in the Premier League, 200 odd times for Arsenal. I shouldn't be speaking about consistency and all of these sort of things. And Tony Adams was very critical about Bellerin, and it was right, man. Do the basics first. Get to the basics first. Focus on being a good defender first. Because for me as a right back, obviously I'm not a better right back than Bellerin. He's doing more in the game than I could ever hope for. But as a right back, what's some of the strengths you want to be good at? Good defensively, 1v1 first and foremost. Is he good at that? Good at tracking runners. Good at making sure you're playing people offside. Making sure you look like a threat into the box. Can he convincingly say he's any of those things? Convincingly? Evidently, he can't. I'm a fullback, so I look at Bellerin a bit harsh, and I genuinely think, not on a harsh thing, but people want to play against Arsenal. People want to play against Hector Bellerin. Grealish has sourced him. Son has sourced him. Wolves, Neto mashed him up. There's a game I'm missing out. Anybody that's decent with their ball at their feet, they want to play Bellerin, and Bellerin mashes them up. It's crazy, man. You know, and Bellerin did have injuries. I have to give him that, man. The real captain is there, man. Maybe I think Bellerin's one of those players. He goes somewhere else and the penny drops. I just think he's been here too long. He needs something else. Like we need something else. He needs something else. We just need to both depart if we're gonna advance. Personally, I like Allen. Again, it's not a Hollywood signing. Allen's a good player. I like him, man. Bro, and this is where you see what you're talking about, the transfer window, my guy. That's where we need the board again. For me, the minute that it became evident you could not sign a creative midfielder in the summer, you should have said, all right, cool. The work now starts for January. Any player we try to potentially bring in the summer, okay, cool. Can we get it done in January to the club? Do you want to come in January to the player? You know, we had about what? Let's just call it 5-6 months from when the window. All right, fair enough. The window closed in October, I believe. But typically it finishes in August. And before that, the start of towards the end of last season, we should have been drawing up targets. So can we revisit that? I don't want to see us freestyling. I know I see us linked with the Ericssons, the Iscos, and all of these sort of players that are not having playing time at their club. But this is where I think the board have to help him. A blind man could see you need a creative midfielder. I'd say you need another box-to-box midfielder. You know, Torreira and Guendouzi would be them for me, but there's no part to play for them this season. So, and are we gonna? Can I see us bringing that in January? Who knows? Who knows? There's talk of Szoboszlai. You've seen David Ornstein himself speak about Szoboszlai and whatnot today, folks. If we look at it really quickly, because I mentioned it, I thought I'd bring it up. He offers some details in relation to his release clause and all of this sort of stuff, people. And the crucial thing for me was he said this release clause has to be paid in two installments. So does that rule Arsenal out, people? But less chatting's more talking. Now, for those who also care, he offered some details via the Athletic on Cavani, and the whole racism thing. He might, and the evidence he's given. He spoke about Hudson-Odoi, but in relation to Szoboszlai, apparently, Dominic Szoboszlai, what's it? Well, should I just read the article? Let me just skip to the main parts, people. Apparently, it went on to say Szoboszlai is tipped to leave Red Bull Salzburg after 2.5 years with the Austrian side. I want Karim Adeyemi from them as well. He scored in his Champions League recent game against Moscow. But the reports Ornstein said is reports have asserted that Salzburg's sister club RB Leipzig are leading the race, with Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan and Tottenham also claimed to be in the frame. Szoboszlai is being considered by Arsenal as they look to enhance their creativity and goal scoring capabilities, but he is one of several options and it remains to be seen if they will enter the battle. His Salzburg contract, which expires in 2022, includes a 25 million release clause, and although that is enticingly low, the Athletic has learned some details which might not make it achievable for all interested parties. So this is where it might go potentially south for Arsenal, people, because we can't do the Bright House payments. Apparently, contrary to reports that the fee can be financed by way of installments, it is actually understood to require full payment in one go and within 2 weeks of the clause being triggered. So again, if we've just spent 45 million on Partey and struggled in installments, and I can't see funds being raised for any other players, unless the same logic in which they said we had to go and basically beg Kroenke for 45 million. Unless we go and do that, how is the money going to be there? Because, yeah, we might get a couple of million in a loan fee for Saliba if expected. He goes back to France, widely expected Saint Etienne. And on the topic of him, apparently Arsenal Chiefs actually want Saliba to go to the Championship. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So unless we're going to get a loan fee for Saliba and potentially sell a player, like maybe a random player, but you couldn't imagine. To be fair, Xhaka could have left last January, but is someone going to, in this market, spend like a mid-season, go for the Xhakas, go for the Bellerins, go for these sort of players? And maybe Mustafi might go, considering he'd have 6 months on the end of his deal. Maybe, Socrates might get a move. Ozil might free up wages. But again, all of these players in the COVID market, if you're going to complete a move, you're probably going to sit on your hands for 6 months until the end of the season at that moment. So that probably rules out Arsenal, unless Stan Kroenke pulls his wallet out and says, yo, I'm going to save you lot and help you lot. You can't see it happening, people. So again, 25 million release clause has to be paid within 2 weeks of the clause being triggered, apparently. And also, to add matters worse, for Arsenal, that's a big outlay. There's also a 20% sell-on clause. There is then thought to be a 20% sell-on clause, sell-on mechanism, which unusually applies to the entire fee of a future transfer and not just the profit. So, for example, if he arrives for 25 million and leaves for 100 million, Salzburg get 20% of 100 million rather than 20% of the 75 million difference. Again, he's going to pay for himself. Even that's still a handsome profit, and they're quite greedy and smart because they've had him for 2.5 years. They're about to make 25 million, and there's another sell-on clause. And whatnot. And for Arsenal, that could put a spanner in the works, because such is the cycle of life, where we try and get him from Salzburg. Obviously, if he keeps developing, the big boys would circle around him if he was to go to Arsenal or Spurs. So there's resale value, but there's also a 20% taken out. So yeah, apparently the reason it is anticipated the situation will develop rapidly is, according to sources, a stipulation that Szoboszlai must give notice by December the 15th of his wish to depart Salzburg, and that bids must be lodged by December 31st. It is unclear if the Hungarian international has expressed his desire or if an offer has been received. So he can obviously say, I want to leave the club, and you can say you want to leave as much as you want. If there's no offers, it doesn't make sense. You don't get anywhere in it. But this is where one thing I'd give Arsenal, because again, one thing I'd give Arsenal for all the criticisms, they only do things if they're in encouragement. Like Partey. Why did Partey sit on his hands all summer? We clearly told him, if worse comes to worse, we're gonna pay your release clause, and you've given assurances. He was linked with other clubs. He stayed on his hands. We'd have to have a thing where we get legit signs of encouragement from Szoboszlai's advisors, whether that be his dad and agent, who we keep seeing talking about him and drumming up interest. If we get assurances, remember, a promise is a comfort to a fool. But if we get assurances that this deal can be done, obviously Szoboszlai, we'd have to, get assurances that this deal could be done. Szoboszlai would have to signal his intent. And as a player, are you going to signal your intent unless Arsenal kind of give you assurances that this can be done? This can only be done if Arsenal can back out the P's, which needs to be paid within 2 weeks. 25 million. We should have 25 million in the bank, or manage to rustle it together. But if we go off the same logic that we had to beg for money for Partey, and we couldn't act in other regions to buy players, and we're haggling over 5 million euros for some alleged targets, that doesn't give you anything of pleasure. And also, maybe Kroenke will look at it and say, 25 million, I've got to pay it in 2 weeks. They want a 20% sell-on clause. They want too much done too quickly. I'll let that one go. You can't find a young player elsewhere. So it's crazy. And January might, unless you're laying the groundwork now, or have been laying the groundwork, I'm not too sure. I don't think he joins Arsenal. I think he goes to Salzburg, in my opinion. Apparently, he goes to Salzburg. Leipzig, apologies, man. I always get them confused. In the unforeseen event of Szoboszlai still being at Salzburg in the summer, the same arrangement is believed to kick in again, with notice having to be given by June 30th and bids lodged by July the 15th. So again, maybe it's better to move from in January, in the summer, where apparently, we've heard we're well ahead of our planning for that. So maybe he is one of those. We've done our scouting. Maybe he could be one of those. And also, you'd have players off the wage books, the financial structure. You'd imagine by July the 15th, we know if we're going to be in the Europa League or not. And obviously, them finances matter. So maybe it's probably best for us to go for him in the summer. Not that we have a choice at all, really and truly, folks. But it is what it is in that regards, people. It is what it is. Moving away from that, what are you guys saying? And on the topic of Saliba, I might as well type it in on Google real quickly, because I typed it in, and I mentioned it, and I didn't expand on it. I'm trying to find the right article. Here we go. Apologies, people. Let me scroll down. We've also got to remember he was linked with Nice, who now Vieira's gone. It's not there. He's been linked with Rennes, and he's been linked with St Etienne, as well as Brentford and a couple other championship sides like Watford. Watford would be good because, they train right around the corner. He probably wouldn't have to move too far. We could keep a close eye. But apparently there's disagreement in relation to where they want him to play, people. Apparently Arsenal staff would prefer that the centre-half remain in England and drop down to the Championship, where he'd get a better feel for it. And again, there could be the champion. People might look at it and say, well, you could be playing against Kylian Mbappe, you could be playing against, Championship qualities. But let's not. I don't want him to play in the Championship. My first priority is for him to stay at Arsenal or go to France or go to Germany or somewhere. But I'm not gonna lie, I do think the Championship, I wouldn't be against it because he's not the most experienced, and you've got some street smart strikers in the Championship. He would learn a lot too. Some would physically outstrength him, some would outpace him, some he wouldn't see for 89 minutes, and they score in the 90th. It would be good. What I need to know now is there's a clear plan for Saliba. If he's going to the Championship, what team? Is he going to Brentford because of their ethos around young players and how they play football? What is it? Do they play a similar formation to us? Is their philosophy the same? Don't just palm a man out for no reason. Get it right, because we've messed him around, even to the point where we messed him around where he was at his old club because he never got to play in a final, people, really and truly. If I look at the Championship top goal scorers, probably Adam Armstrong and Ivan Toney, both of them probably up there as well. Like I said, the two of them who I've got a video on, which I didn't bring out, he would learn a lot playing against these lot people. He would, just by looking at random names in the Championship, you would learn a lot playing against an experienced Timo Pukki. You would learn a lot playing against Adam Armstrong and Ivan Toney. You would learn a lot in the Premier. Yeah, these names might not be the biggest of names, but you would learn a lot in the Championship. Now, like I said, if he wants to go back to France, then I think we need to allow him to, because that's where he'll be most confident. He can't play in the Premier League. He can be registered for the Europa League, I assume you mean, in January. So yeah, man. Big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. It does not cost a thing. In relation to Partey, let's see where Partey is in terms of fitness. I haven't seen a word on him, apart from Arteta offering his opinion on him. There's been nothing on him, so I suggest we're probably still waiting on a scan and the rest of it for him. So we'll probably have to see what happens in that regards, people, really and truly. We'll have to see. What are you lot saying? Let me see what you lot are saying. Did AFC Edmonton win? Unfortunately, not, my guy. We drew in the first game and lost 3-1 in the second game. Bit of a shambles. I didn't give away a penalty this time, though, so you can allow me. Szoboszlai is not going to come here to play 23s, and he's bigger than that, in my humble opinion, but I respect yours. Thank you very much, Miles. You're a Spurs fan, but you're saluting the ting. Respect that, man. David has said, you know what frustrates me, bro? Maitland-Niles, the man wants to play in midfield. The man has energy and did well against Rapid Vienna, and he's a box-to-box. We've got to try something. We have got to try something, but I don't know, my guy. I agree with you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't agree with you. I don't know what to tell you, bro. I agree, but I don't know what to say, and that's the upsetting thing. Sadly, there's nothing I can say. I like Ismail Assar. Want to see a bit more consistency. I do like the Brighton lads, but I'd probably pass. Be a very good combo. Why not be the most expensive? But yeah, and then you've got an El Nene in the team. It's all right. Bellerin's too stiff, too immobile, injury prone, most importantly, inconsistent. Not yet, but serious under review. Big up Estin, spot on, deluded. Bellerin is weak and exposes himself. He's not strong enough defensively and he's not good enough going forward. He's stagnated with his progress and he needs to leave to improve. That's it. I have no allegiances against no one. I'm not have any malice against someone, but I don't like to keep going year in, year out with the same people doing the same things, not seeing evidently they're trying to change and expecting them to change. It don't make sense. Crazy. Oh, Lamperty's my guy. I rate Lamperty highly, man, but I feel Ozil would have created a couple of chances, but he ain't going to make no mad difference. I just feel, where Arteta hasn't helped himself, if he played Ozil, you can say, look, I've played Ozil, there's nothing there. That's the one luxury, remember, at least gave himself. Arteta tried to do this hard body thing, not involve no one in general, and it kind of is biting him because, again, when you're not coaching any creativity, fans are only going to speak about the one creative man in the team. For what you have to say about Ozil, he's very creative. 3 incomings, 3 outgoings. Me, I don't really like the transfer thing, but incomings, Szoboszlai, Aouar, Lamperty. Outgoings, I love Ozil, and it's not really anything to do with his ability, but, this running story, this whole running Ozil story, both him and the club deserve to divorce from it. So I would say, Mesut Ozil, I would say, Mustafi, Socrates, get these 2021 players off the wage books. Other players I would look to move on, Xhaka, Bellerin, Kolasinac, these the usual suspects, really and truly. Boring, defeated football. Crazy. DG, did you see the Expressions video when he said you look like that Bellerin Spurs? No, I didn't, but shout out to Expressions. I hope he brought through some of his subscribers and plugged DG on that. Have I seen reports of a clear out in January? No. And is that true? Please don't make me go on Google and you're capping. But it wouldn't surprise me if suddenly after losing, we hear talk about acting in the transfer market. We hear talk about clearing out. That's propaganda, man. That's it. Ozil's not the solution, not the solution. But when we are missing something special, it's crazy. When you ain't listen, if you're not coaching it, if you're not bringing in creativity, then use what you got, or you're setting yourself up for failure. Please stop spamming. People, I've answered your question. Please stop spamming. I get Bergeron, I get Pepe, I get Little D, I get every week. There's a new black youth that looks like me, my guy. But it is what it is. You have to learn to live with it with this YouTube stuff. I wish I had the sort of money that these guys had, If I had £1 for every time I said people, things might be different. Bro, snap, I'll take 15. Take 15. That's how mad it is. That's how mad it is. Start scoring goals, man. I don't know what's happened with Lacazette. He just looks like the injuries have been harming him and stuff, man. Tabs, usual suspects. I try to keep it diplomatic and not just make this a witch hunt, but whether you're an Arsenal fan or not, which players are playing poorly and all of these things. Which ones. Don't we play Chelsea? Don't we play Chelsea on the 26th? Ain't it Boxing Day, or it could have been moved? I think these days come already, really and truly. I would love Guendouzi back, my guy, but is he got a future here? Maybe not, because of what's happened already. I really hope, bro. I really hope it's a turning point. Like, I don't know what it means to claim 3 points or see a victory anymore. So hopefully, man. I wouldn't mind signing Depay, but I don't think he's going to come. He'll probably move to Barcelona on a free transfer as expected. Not that I know anything. I agree. He does need time, but at the same time, he does have to show more. So while I feel for Arteta, I do understand fans having concerns. I would love Pogba, but would Pogba come to us? Well, you know what? El Nene's skill set is limited, but what El Nene, the components that El Nene has, he performs it better than Xhaka. And for me, it's about mobility. That was the main thing going into a game like you. But it's crazy. I listen, Holding's a bit sometimes-ish for me, but I don't think he's as bad as man make out. He wouldn't be the first centre-half to leave, but if someone offered me 20 million for a lot of our centre-halves, even less, I'd entertain it. I'd very much entertain it. And I wish I had an answer for the logic behind this. Sadly, I don't. It's just down to him to prove you wrong, Denzel. Pick up yourself. I would like to see Smith Rowe integrated into the team a bit more, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Please make sure you're running up the like buttons. Come on. Yeah, come on, man. You should be. Hey, TW, you done me dirty. You're normally here all the time, man. You're normally here all the time. Oh, the bourgeois shouts. Like I said, I wish I had his money. But yeah, if worse comes to worse, I'll be a doppelganger for him. Crazy business, innit? You wouldn't. It's crazy, man. I don't think he got spammed for that one moment, but Bellerin's just poor all the time. But I agree, Tierney has had some shaky moments, but Tierney's human. 9 times out of 10, Tierney's the occasional terrible game. You afford players that, you're going to play bad sometimes, but when you're getting rubbed out every week, it's crazy. People, it's crazy. No, I wouldn't take Mandzukic, but I like him a lot. Matt is saying if you think he should get sacked, then you need your head a wobble. I like Max Aarons, my guy, but I'd rather Lamperty, admittedly. I do think Max Aarons is a bit gas, but I wouldn't mind him at all. I would take him with open arms, man. But yeah, people, we've been here for an hour and a half. I'm going to get out of here, people. I'll probably be back at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, so make sure you're aware of my YouTube channel. If there's anything to talk about, that is. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get out of here. Please make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Big up all the YouTube members of my channel that are always saluting the ting. Big up everyone for the memberships and the super chats. It's appreciated. Please hit the like button. I really love how you lot keep going hard at that. I really appreciate you guys for that. And yeah, man, Greg, thank you very much for taking me in, man. I'll be back soon, man. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to give you guys some decent content. It's a pleasure to give you guys some decent content and to just know that is actually content worthwhile. So if I've given you something to walk away with, it means a lot. I'll be back soon, people. I'm out of here, man.